Hello, welcome to the review show. Liverpool smashed 4-1 by Tottenham Hotspur yesterday. Kane and Son having a laugh at Liverpool's defence. We'll do what we normally do. We'll have a little bit of a chat about the game. We've got an interesting email to read through as well. I'm joined by Tom and Si for this one. Then we'll get into the comments and stuff. So let me know your thoughts on that performance in the comments section. We'll come to them later on in the show. But first of all, Si, I'll start with you because I think Tom's still doing stuff. There are no positives to be taken out of that performance, are there? Apart from maybe Mo Salah scoring again.
Yeah, Salah was good, but it was tough. It was tough to watch. I think Klopp even said there in his press conference, he said, there were positives to take, but I don't want to talk about them because...
It's the wrong time.
Yeah, they were so minuscule in terms of the context of the whole game that it is hard to talk about. It is hard to talk about the positives, like.
That's the thing for me. I mean, I don't look for positives for positive's sake. You know, when you watch a game of football, you view it in certain ways, don't you? And for me, yesterday's performance was diabolical, and it was embarrassing, the way that we went there. And Tottenham have had poor form at Wembley so far this season. They've dropped a few points in their home games, but we just made it far too easy for them, Tom, didn't we? And it started with Dejan Lovren, unfortunately.
Yeah, it seemed the whole setup. Our whole setup was like they just battered us at every turn of the pitch, and you're right, Dejan Lovren he makes that first mistake, and it's a ridiculous mistake. The whole of the back line, it's a ridiculous mistake. Klopp even says we have them in a tight area, and it's one ball over the top. It shouldn't be that easy. And then I think he tries to make up for that for the second one. He's like, I'm going to reach this ball early, and just leaves us wide open.
And that's open. It. We're what? I don't know how many minutes have gone in the game. Less than 20. We're 2-0 down, and we've got to almost overextend in certain situations, don't we? And I mean, I think we've brushed over the Lovren thing. I do want to talk about it because listen, everyone wants to point blame at people. Now, for me, Lovren's decision making in that first goal is really poor, but it's not just him, is it? You can look at Simon Mignolet, you can look at Joe Gomez being a little bit deeper than everybody else. You can look at Joel Matip and wonder what he's doing.
I think the word I used was a shit show. The whole Moreno is nowhere near the ball, which might have something to do with it as well. But the four of them in the box, none of them have got a clue what they're doing. None of them have got a clue what the other ones are doing. And then when the ball goes in, they're all looking at each other, blaming themselves.
That's not good enough. I mean, Jurgen Klopp must work on defensive situations, Tom. And I think you're right in pointing to what he says in the press conference. He was not happy last night because they're a good side, and they punished us for stupid mistakes.
It's annoying because we obviously train. We're a professional football team. No professional football team should concede them manner of goals. All four of them were just poor, really. If they would have gone out there and nice little intricate football, it was none of that. It was catching us on the break. It was taking a little bobble in the box, and they're the first to it. It was miscommunication. It can't happen. It literally
We've seen this too often, unfortunately, under Jurgen Klopp, haven't we? I mean, the stat that's flying around Twitter and every other social media at the moment is we've conceded 16 goals in the first 9 games of the Premier League, and that's more than at any point since 1964-65, when I believe it was 20 goals that we conceded in 9 games. 15 of those goals have been away from home, only 1 conceded at home in the Premier League side. You look at Watford, we conceded 3. You look at Manchester City, we conceded 5. You look at Tottenham Hotspur, we conceded 4. And here's another stat that's not getting thrown out there very often. Simon Mignolet has committed 13 errors leading to a goal since his debut in 2013, right?
Directly.
3 more than any other goalkeeper in the Premier League over that period.
It's a lot, isn't it?
And yet, he's the goalkeeper that we've decided is fit enough to wear that green shirt of Liverpool.
It just keeps happening, doesn't it? And you think he's turned the corner. He had a good season last season on the whole. There was still a couple of mistakes leading to goals, I'm sure. But on the whole, he had a good season. He's still our best goalkeeper at the minute, I think. I haven't seen enough award to show that he's better. I'd like to see a bit more award. So I think he could prove himself to be better because, to be honest, it's not hard, is it? I don't think Karius is the answer at all.
Yeah.
I think he's a joke as well, to be honest. So the only answer is to go out and buy one.
Okay, well, we'll go into the comments section for a bit. Jose26 says, positive is that Lovren is done. David Kinnan says, Lovren's bad timing and poor decision-making was what you see in Sunday League football. Shocking. Joel Turner actually brings it onto the attack. Our apparent great attack has only shown how good it is against Arsenal this season, and our defences in Championship level. Also thought Ox was our best player yesterday. Mr. Blue Skies, hope Lovren's done. Cross J, interestingly, I think we can all agree Klopp only trusts in Matip as a defender. It's stupid how we didn't go after any defenders after not being able to get Virgil van Dijk, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. But we'll talk about that after we've given Tottenham Hotspur a little bit of credit, because I think we need to, don't we? They're a good footballing side, Tom, and they played us yesterday.
They were fantastic in every area of the pitch. The way we're renowned for our pressing, they were fantastic at it. They had men everywhere. I remember, who was it that was running down the left-hand side? I can't remember. Someone was running down the left-hand side. They had a semicircle around him. He had nothing. It might have been Coutinho, and he targeted them all game really, really well. I think Pochettino just went, we're going to go for these. And it's the first big team that's actually really gone for us. And they pulled our pants down.
They're good at it, they're brilliant. But the sad thing about it is, they're exactly what Liverpool are trying to be. They haven't gone out and spent loads of money. It's a high energy football, but they're just so much better at it than us at the minute.
They went out there and they got Vertonghen and Alderweireld and sorted the defence out first.
Yeah.
Now, they had Rose coming through and they obviously had Kyle Walker there as well. But they have built from the back, and Harry Kane's been amazing, and he's obviously come through their system and stuff. Their squad right now, for me, is leagues ahead of ours, because they've got Dembele, Wanyama missing, they bring in Winks, you know, they bought Aurier, or however you say his name, they bought Trippier from Burnley and developed him over a couple of years. Sanchez, centre-back.
I hadn't even heard of him until yesterday, but I've seen if they only paid a few million for him in the summer. Brilliant sign, centre-back, go out, just buy one.
Yeah.
And that's what Liverpool should be striving for.
Of course, we're missing players as well, but that's not an excuse for them missing players. If we bring Lallana, Klein, and whoever else back, and we still play like that defensively, it doesn't matter who we bring back, and that's the problem. Is it's little mistakes again. I mean, for the second one, we have overextended. I know we looked into it before, and I don't know if you wanted to talk about that, but the fact that Gomez makes the overlap, and that's not necessarily his fault, but it kind of is.
He's right to make the overlap, but then Milner crosses the ball.
Yeah.
It's obvious that Milner's crossing the ball.
So you need to hustle and get back, and I think we just tried to force stuff through, and I think we should have. I think we needed to at that point in the game. You saw once we got the goal back, we were back in it. We not back in it, but we looked like we wanted it. Everyone came up in the
did look good.
In the studio yesterday. We were all like, yes, we can go for this. And then the third one is just
that kills the game completely. We were talking about it. We do deserve. It's hard to talk about the positives, but we deserve credit for the way we got back into that game, because the first 20 minutes was an absolute shambles. We could easily have just rolled over there, but we get a bit of a lucky goal with the finish. It was a great ball from Henderson, but it came out of nothing. That goes in, and then we get back into the game, and you think, come on, go into half-time 2-1, and then we can try and build on something here, and then you concede another stupid goal, and that's it. And that just kills the game off.
And you know, Klopp's made the substitution. He's got rid of Dejan Lovren. We were still poor defensively when we got rid of Dejan Lovren. You know, we conceded another two goals in that game, both from poor situations. He moves Emre Can to right back. Now, he mentions in his press conference that he did it because he wanted somebody who would work better in the half space. Now, anybody watching who knows where the half space is, it's inside from the right wing, and it's out from the centre of the pitch. So it's where Coutinho normally fills in for us. Coutinho does his best work in the half space, as it were. That didn't work, and Emre Can is the guy who concedes the free kick in a stupid area.
But he doesn't need to concede at all.
He's got the ball, he loses the ball. Henderson's coming in and he throws a tackle in like you do on Pro Evo from behind. You know, and we've all done it. It's not just you, by the way. Everyone makes that stupid tackle. Yeah. Free kicks from nothing, and we go to pot again.
I want to know, did Matip get a call? Because every time I watch that, the first time I watch it, I'm like, oh, it's going out. And then I'm like, no. Mignolet could have just gone, my ball, bounces, and he takes that. Instead, I'm guessing he didn't get a shot.
You have got to be worried, because I don't think Harry Kane can get that ball where it's going. But Harry Kane is standing not far from him. It's a
and that's
it's a tight angle for Harry Kane. If he's a yard nearer, then he could go in and get that ball, and you can't take any risk when he's in the box. So
that's where you need your communication with your back line, and he had none of it.
Yeah, okay, well, listen, I want to talk about the transfers because everybody's talking about it. We know that we didn't sign Virgil van Dijk in the summer and we didn't sign any centre-backs. Now, Julian Fricker says, no centre-back. Van Dijk was plan A, but I think we all knew we needed 2 centre-backs, so we should have brought one in the summer. And I think that's right, isn't it? So me and Si had an interesting conversation actually on the Instant Match Reaction podcast last night. You weren't privy for it because you were working downstairs. And what I'd posed is, listen, I like the signing of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think he's a good footballer and I think he's really stepped it up over the last couple of weeks, certainly. But if Virgil van Dijk's your plan A and Liverpool can't afford to make a mistake in the transfer market, so Klopp has to make sure that he gets the right centre-back. Yeah. We had an extra 35 million quid there that we decided to spend on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. So for me, if you want Virgil van Dijk and you think you might be able to get him in January, keep that money. Yeah. Don't sign Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, sign a friggin' centre-half.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I didn't agree with that. And then I had to sit down yesterday and just actually thought it through, and I agree. And it's hard because, in my eyes, Klopp just wants the right man. But then we had the conversation yesterday, and that's what changed my mind on it, is you can't get Koulibaly from Napoli. Just bring him in and just shore it up for a bit and then carry on. Like, mould him. You don't need the perfect player. I would love us to have the perfect player, but you're right, if it doesn't work and you're putting yourself in a mire in the middle of the season, we can't do anything about it now, and it's so frustrating. So I think January, we have to step up. Yeah,
I think somebody said it's 16 games or 10 weeks until the transfer window, and these are our defenders, and we know that. James Sutton tweeted something really interesting. It wasn't to us, but obviously he's a friend of the show, and he won't mind us reading his tweet out. I still believe Klopp will get it right. He just needs to accept that he can't turn water into wine. Sometimes you just got to buy wine. And after watching this Liverpool performance, I went straight for a beer and a curry because I needed the alcohol. But I get the analogy. Yeah. You know, Klopp wants to develop his players, but if the players aren't good enough to play in our system, like I think Dejan Lovren isn't, he's an accident waiting to happen. Something needs to be done about it.
I've just thought then, is it a systemic problem? I think there is problems in the system because, you know, he's coaching these every day. Is he coaching them wrong?
Well, he says in his press conference, doesn't he, that, you know, he knows what you've got to do in those certain situations, and he alludes to the fact that these guys have been told what they've got to do. For example, the first goal, Dejan Lovren can't not jump for the ball. Yeah. And then here's the other thing that no one really picks up on from this. You know, we watch the goal back a lot. Dejan Lovren obviously looks to the side to see if it's offside, but he's jogging. Yeah. It's not until he realised that he might have a chance at getting the ball back that he starts sprinting when Mignolet flaps at it. Yeah. Now, if he's sprinting straight away, he might get the ball. If whether you put your hand up or not, the linesman is going to put his flag up regardless of whether you put your hand up. So why are you looking over at him? Yeah. Harry Kane's running through and goal and you've decided to look away. Why? I just don't understand it. It makes no sense.
Well, there's a good comment here. Merton Torpy. The problem with Lovren and Mignolet is in most games they're capable and shit in a few, but we need guys who are great in most games and capable in a few. And I think that's it. It's just consistency. And if they were consistently bad, we go get out of the team. But we had 2 clean sheets before this game. And I know, all right, it's Maribor and I can't remember the other one.
Manchester United that didn't try and score.
Who didn't even, exactly. But we at least kept a clean sheet, and then to just capitulate, it was pretty much capitulation.
But this is happening every few weeks. They're making mistakes. That's just not good enough. It's not good enough for a team that's fighting relegation. Never mind a team that's meant to be challenging for top 4 of the title.
That's it. But
another thing, I was just thinking about the systemic thing. If we need to buy centre-backs, that's clear for all to see. We need to buy centre-backs in January, that's clear for all to see. Centre-backs are looking at Liverpool and looking at the way we're defending. Do they want to be in this defence?
Don't say that.
Because people are getting through under
just
the bus
send them tapes of somebody else defending the players.
It's true, isn't it? I mean, if you're a centre-back, even if you're Van Dijk, you don't want to come and play in that defence because you know that fucking...
Luckily, I think that most footballers and managers are egotistical, and I think most people will be looking around going, I can fix that. and I'm going to be worshipped when I fix that. Because Virgil van Dijk comes in now, he is going to be lauded if he sorts Liverpool's defence out, and he's going to be thought of even higher than people think of him now. Now, thankfully, I do think a lot of football players are like that, and they do back themselves to do it, and I think managers are exactly the same.
Same reason why managers go to relegation fighting teams and stuff like
exactly, because they believe that they can do it and that they'll come out better for it. So thankfully, I hope that will be the case. Now, you know, we all watched Klopp's press conference. I came out of the press conference, although Liverpool had been smashed and there was no positive to draw from the game, I really felt like the penny had finally dropped for Jurgen Klopp on these defenders. You know, when he's talking about nobody's getting in this team on the merit, on the name, essentially, they've got to show me in training that they deserve a place. And how pissed off he was, and just how annoyed in general that he was, made me feel so much better that he it seems to be sinking in.
He's getting let down every week. He's literally... Of course, yeah, you can talk about transfers and that, but he's got players there, and he's saying to these players, you're playing for Liverpool, you need to step up your game, and they haven't. Like, yesterday was I rate Matip really highly. Yesterday was garbage. And maybe that's a bit of Tottenham playing well, maybe that's a bit of us just not giving him a pass. Our midfield was non-existent yesterday, but he's just getting
he hasn't played well at all this season, I don't think.
Matip?
No.
At all? He has.
No.
He's played.
Might have had a couple of good games, but on the whole, he's had a bad season so far. And it's because he's got bad players around him, maybe, but he hasn't played well.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that, you know, you mentioned it being systematic before. Oz Master's got a decent comment in here. We can buy a centre-back, it won't make any difference. If the midfield leave the back line for dead, we need a defensive midfielder. Yeah. Now, I'm not 100% sure whether I agree with that we need a defensive midfielder. I'd like someone who fits into this system, who can play like Jordan Henderson, but play it better. Now, I don't know whether we're after that guy at the moment. You know, I think, you know, this Liverpool side might not need a Jordan Henderson, it might need a Kante.
Yeah.
In a different style of a midfielder. But certainly at the moment, the midfield, as you said, was non-existent yesterday. They were ran all over. Son and Kane had an absolute field day against the back four. There's far too much space between the defence and the midfield. Yeah. And it is more than just the centre-back at the moment. But one of the questions that I wanted to ask is, you know, Jurgen Klopp, there seems to be online, I've seen more and more of this Klopp out. In fact, Valium's Jay says Klopp out, Liverpool's a shit club. I mean, you're wrong, Liverpool's not a shit club. They're still the best football team in the world, obviously. This Klopp out notion, I don't understand. And
I disagree with it massively. I think, okay then, so I had a look before. The two big ones who are out of a job right now, Ancelotti and Tuchel, I think are both out of a job. Let's bring them in, and then what? You know what I mean? Yeah, you can say Klopp out and say his tactics, get rid, but he's building something here. He's on a contract for 5 years, and after, we've not had a great season. With the statistics are awful at the moment, so like really bad statistics for Liverpool. That doesn't mean that Klopp doesn't know the answer. That doesn't mean that we scrap everything. We're not a sacking club. We're not one of these people who just go, get rid. And we talked about this on a show. Chelsea can afford, this is the kind of different point, Chelsea can afford to just get rid of players and bring in another player in that position, and they can do the same with managers. Liverpool can't do that. We're building something here, and if we want to become the Spurs that we were saying before, that's
our model.
That's our model. If we want to do that, you can't just sack your manager when, all right, we've had a poor performance. We're not the worst football team in English football. We're not relegation fodder like the Blues. We're not
one of the best four, though.
Of course we're not. But we don't have the squad. We don't have the performances. We don't deserve to be in top four just because we're Liverpool. We need to show it.
Yeah. Klopp's made mistakes, no doubt about it, but I still believe that he's the man for the job.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, you know, you can look at the difference between just him and Koeman right now. I mean, Klopp's contracted to the club until 2022, is it? Something like that. And he's going through a tough time. He wants to get it right. In fact, he said, I will not stop trying, or something like that.
I will never give up.
I will never give up. That's a manager that says to me, he's bought in, he understands what he's got to do at Liverpool. Koeman's going in 2019 regardless, you know what I mean? And there's the difference for me right now. We've got a manager who wants to be there. So, maybe, yeah, maybe. And listen, we've got a chat from LFC. Aaron says Jurgen's too loyal to average players, and that goes back to what we were saying about before. I think that Jurgen Klopp is egotistical. I think that all managers and all players are. I think he backs himself to get it right. Yeah. I think last night was the turning point for him. I think he now realises that these guys can't perform at the level that we want to perform. We've got one more question before we wrap it up. It was an email sent into by one of our Redmen TV subscribers. It's Cy Banstead. Looking at the squad right now, I can't see not one leader. There's no standout leaders who can A, take the game by the scruff of the neck, or B, give out a right good bollocking. Throughout my time watching this great club, and it still is, regardless of the form of the team, only the 2000 to 2010 era have had proper leaders. Okay, we still didn't win a league title in that period, but at least we held our heads high while giving our all on the pitch. What that period does coincide with is that we had a much more defensive look to various teams back then. Coincidence? I think not. We all say that we wish we had Carrick coaching the defenders, but what about inviting big Sammy Hyypiä to lend his voice? He was a solid leader who straight away got what it meant to play for us and never let us down. Also would probably jump at the chance to help out. Discuss.
Yeah, I don't think many people would object to bringing Sammy Hyypiä in as a defensive coach, to be honest. Jurgen Klopp might. I don't know. Maybe.
I think leaders on the pitch definitely are needed. Jordan Henderson does shout at referees. We had a discussion about this the other day. It's not really shown on the TV, but he does. He has a go, and he's got a bit of needle about him. But we're missing Lallana there as well, who's another. He's a captain for Southampton.
Yeah. He leads by example on the pitch as well.
And he takes the ball. He takes charge. I think we need someone to come in, ideally a centre back, who will just scream at people. Left back's out of position, get back, you know what I mean? Someone who understands the system, and that's the problem, I think. We need someone who understands how Klopp plays so that they can enforce it on the pitch even more than Klopp does on the sidelines. So
yeah, I think Joel Matip, as we were talking about before, he technically is a very good centre-half, but I don't think he's a leader. I think he's more... Hyypiä wasn't that type of leader. Hyypiä wasn't the type of player who shouted at players all the time. He was another one who led by example. He was the calm head. I think Matip's that type of player. We need someone... And that's Van Dijk, isn't it, basically?
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? But there's got to be more centre-backs out there that can play in our system. For example, like, you know, Michael Keane would have been one in this summer that Liverpool maybe should have looked at. He wasn't playing in the same type of system at Burnley. Southampton's not the same type of system for Virgil van Dijk. You've got to make sure that the player's profile fits into your system. And unfortunately, with Dejan Lovren, I don't think his player profile is ever going to fill into our system because he's too rash, he's poor positionally, he's poor out in space, and we struggle whenever he's in there. He's had a good few years of training under Klopp, and he doesn't seem to be improving. Well, there you go. That's the review show. We're going to go off and do the final word show now. We've got Emma Sanders, a BBC and Liverpool Echo journalist, in the building for that one. Joining us will be Ross Chandley, of course, and Ben Kelly, whose Lone Watch and under 23 show will be out later on today. So if you want to take your minds off the Reds, the normal Reds, the proper Reds, the really, really bad in defence Reds, then go and check out the unders. And please, Ben, tell me that they're doing better.
The under-19s are...
Excellent, the under-19s are doing better. So there's your positivity. Go and check out Ben's show later on today. Thanks for joining us, Tom, Si. As always, an absolute displeasure. And I'll see you next time on